Okay, I have shared a file in the group. You can download it and extract. So today we will discuss about pandas. Last time we discussed about NumPy, and then we can today we will load the data and discuss about how to load and how to do simple analyze. And if we have time, we can go with like floating assay. So download the file and extract it because it's a zip file. Over there, there should be two files. One is txt document, and the other one is Jupyter notebook file. So open that Jupyter notebook file. So we will discuss about that file today. Yeah. First, I will activate the environment. And then I will go because in here I have all the files in here. You have to select your own document, like own place where you have saved all the files. In my case, I saved my files in D Python workshop and the Python workshop notebooks. So I will go here. I will copy that link and paste here and type cd at the beginning so I can change the directory to that place, and I will type D. So now it's changed. So after that, I will launch Jupyter Lab. So in your case, you should have these two files, your IPy notebook file and then January 17 CO txt files. So you should be in this directory so we can go and discuss why we use pandas and what are the basic panda data structures and how you can create the data to the pandas and what are some data operations available in. So all of you have loaded this one because today we will have some exercise. Okay, if you all have loaded, in here we will discuss about data series and data frames. Last time we discussed about list. So what is data series? First one we need to know is data series. In Panda we have data series and data frame. This is the both things, like two things that you need to remember mainly. So data series is what is a data series? Data series are one of the fundamental data structures in this Panda. So you can think them like dictionary, because last time when we are discussing about basic Python, we discuss in Python we have dictionary type data. So this is also dictionary type, equivalent to dictionary type data. So what is the main thing in dictionary type data? We discuss on that time. We discuss in dictionary type data you will have keys and then the values. So it's same like in here. So here also we have key or index and the value, the actual data values like dictionary, but also have some handy functions attached to them. So to start, start on creating a data series, what we have to do first is data series is coming from pandas. So no matter what, you have to import pandas. So when you are importing pandas, the command is import, then the library name, then as your short form. So here I am going to import pandas as PD. So whenever I need pandas, what will I do? Like I will say PD. If I type PD, then it will call for pandas, like all the functions in the panda library. So now from here, I am going to create some like temperature observation. Till now we are not reading. Right now also I am going to create a like sample data set. So when we are creating sample series, what we need to do? PD dot, then series is an inbuilt function over there, and then you have to type your list. So if you see the docker string of this function, so till now I have not loaded this one. So let me run this command. So what will happen? It will create a panda data series. So how I can see this one? Last time I mentioned, if you put this enable debug icon, and after it turn into this orange color, if you go into the variable section, you will see you have temperature and the type is series. So right now we created a simple series type data in pandas. So in here, what you can see, so to view the docker string, you can see if you hit tab, you will shift tab, you will see the docker string. So pd.series. So what are the available what kind of things that this will take as inputs? For the inputs, you can give data, and even you can give the index. If you have index, you can give the index and the data type you can assign, and even some other functions are there. So if you go like in here, you will see some examples as well. So that's why I'm like keep repeating the same thing again and again, that you need to view the docker string. No matter what, just check the docker string of that specific function, you will understand. So in here we created, so this is the series. So what are the things that you see in here? So you have two columns. Two columns in here, you have two columns. This is the first column and this is the second column. And here you have data type as int64. So the values on the left hand side are what we call these values. These are the indexes or key, we can say like key. Both are okay. And then on the right hand side, what we have? The actual values. So if we call for index 1, value will be 20. If you call for index 3, value will be 18. And then here we say like the data type is integers, but typically Panda will accept any type of data for the series. So no matter what, it will accept. So now it's okay, but now we have a problem. What if we can like replace these key values with our own data? Like if we put the instead of these key values, right now we created a temperature series, no? So for the key values, what if we convert these key values into station name or station shortcuts? So it will be easy. Whenever we need to access the temperature, we can call for that station name and it will retrieve the data for us. So how we can like replace these indexes when we are creating an panda type data series? So to create, do something like that, we can go ahead and say PD series, same function, because last time when I show you the docker string in here, I say you can give the data. In this example, we only provide the data, but after providing the data, you can put a comma and then you can give your index values as well. Right now, what we are going to do is we just give the data. So these are the data file, and then we say index equal, and then we are assigning the indexes. So TOP is a station name, short name for a station, and then OUNDAL DEA. So now it will assign. So to do this thing, both indexes and values should be saved. So what will happen if I type in here comma 19? So now there will be a new data added. But in this side, I have how many data? The values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 values, but in this side for the stations, I have 4. If I try to run, what will happen? It's giving me an error. Why? Because to do something like this, I need to have indexes and values, both should be saved. So if I delete this one 19 at the end, it will run. But in your case, I didn't put right 19, I just show. If you do something like that, it will give you an error. So here now you can see index has been changed. Last time we have index 0, 1, 2, 3. but now we have changed the index. So you know how to call for the index. How we can call for this index? If I need to access like DAL temperature, if I need to get the DAL temperature, what should be the command? In the temperature, so the data set name is, data series name is temperature. So how I can access this dictionary value is temperature, and if I need the DAL value, is same. Whenever we need to access using index, what we said, variable name within box bracket, you need to give the index. So in this case, instead of index, what we are using, their key value. So to put a key value, we need to put the key value within single quotation marks. So if you put the key values within single quotation mark like DAL, it should give us the temperature. So here you can see it's integer 64 type data. The value is 25. So if I need to access DEN value, here I need to replace this one into DEN. So it should give me the exact value corresponding to that station. So now what if I need to access like multiple values? Last time I access only like single value. Here I access only single value. So if I need to get like multiple station data from the series that I have created, I can use temperatures. The like variable name is temperature, and then within two box brackets, and I can create another two box bracket and pass a list. So in that list, I will mention the index value. First station name DAL and then OUA. So if I execute this one, what will happen? It is giving me the value of DAL is 25, OUN is 20. So this is the way how you can access those data and how you can create an index based data series. And then here last time yesterday we discussed, when we are discussing NumPy, how to mask the data. So what will happen if I type temperature greater than 20? So it is masking the data where the temperature value is greater than 20, and it should show me the rest of the temperature values which are greater than 20. So if I execute this one, what should be appear? The only two stations, this station and this station, have the values greater than 20. So I should get these two as my output. So here if I type greater than 19, I should get 3 stations. So this is the way how you can filter your data after you loading a data series. So same thing, yesterday we discussed about broadcasting in NumPy. So if we type our array name in here, we are typing this like our data series plus 2, what will happen? So it will add 2 for each and every single individual value over there, because we discussed when we are talking about that broadcasting in NumPy. If you type something like this, it will affect for all the values in that data series. So if I execute this one, you can see now for all the values in here plus 2. 2 is added for all the values. So now next thing. So I said like these things are like dictionaries, no? What is this? Now what we are doing in here? If you remember dictionary in Python, how we can create a dictionary? So we said if you open something within the box bracket, what kind of data is this? Inside the box bracket. If we say like variable name equal, like okay, I will say like a equal something, and then within commas I assign the value. This one is list, and then this one I say if we open using like curly brackets, what it will be? Within curly brackets, we will create what? Dictionary. When we are creating dictionary, I said like you need to assign your index using within like single quotation mark and then 2 colons and then value comma, then keep repeating all the values. Within single quotation mark, you need to give the variable name, then you can put 2 double dots and give the value for that thing. Like that, likewise you can keep repeat. And if we create some data within like brackets, what will happen? This kind of we discuss. It will be tuple. This one will be like tuple type data. So that's why I say like you need to keep remember all these things when we are going here. So now what we are creating is a dictionary type data. Let me copy this one and like execute, then you will see. So if I type this one and execute, so now we should create DPS variable. So how I can variable this data? I can click on this bug icon in here and I can go. So if I refresh this one, let me like click this again. So here you will see DPS, DICD. That means this is where like dictionary type data, DPS. So now how we can convert this DPS, that means the dictionary type data into Panda series. So simply what we can do is we can call for that dictionary directly, the variable name of that dictionary. So if I call for that variable name of dictionary, automatically what will happen? It will convert this dictionary type data into a Panda series. So if I execute this one, what I should get? I need to get like dev points. So now it is converted into series type data. So if I view the data type in here, you can see now dev point is created, it is dictionary type. Last time that DPS was in dictionary type. So this is how you can convert dictionary type data directly into a Panda series. When you are converting dictionary type data into directly into a Panda series, what will happen? It will get the key values or the index values automatically. So here we didn't assign the key values. No? When we are calling for the data series, we didn't say index equal this. That part is not there. Directly we call for the dictionary type data. When we call for directly to the dictionary type data, because since the dictionary already has that inbuilt indexes, it will convert automatically in Panda series as well. So now how we can check whether the station or key is available or not? How we can check that thing? So if we need to say, okay, in this data series which I have created, I need to check whether a specific station is available or not. That means an index is available or not. So if I type phx in dev points, something like this, what does it mean? I am asking whether this key value is there in this data or the variable. So that means the data series. So what should be the output? I am asking whether this is there or not. So in dev points, I have this station. So phx is there, so it should be true. So if I say phx in temperature, what will happen? So in temperature, I don't have a station name phx. So this is one way you can check whether the index are there, the actual like key is there or not in the data series. So next, for the series, there's two more specific things. For a series, it can have its own attribute like it index name, like name and its attribute name. So that what does it mean? Like if I type temperature dot mean, what should let me like execute this one, then you will understand. So if I view temperature now in here, now you can see in the top we have something called stations. So this is the value of these indexes. So I can say, okay, last time we only created this table. So here I have index value. In this side I have index values. 0, 1, like we replace the index values with station name like EOP, OUN, and then something like that. And then this side I have values 15, 20, 25, 30, something like that. I have values. Now I can give this data series, like for the index of this data series, I can say, okay, this index represent the stations. So to rename this one, I can use this. If I use this one, temperature.index.name, so it will give a name for this indexes. So index name will be the stations. And also I can give this entire data series a name as well. So to give an entire data series a name, I can say temperatures.name is equal temperature. So in here you will see the name of this variable is temperature, and also the values or that data series represent station like temperature value, and the type is int64, because in here at the very top, if you see go and like see the temperature in here, what I can see only the index value and then those things and the data type. So in here I didn't have any name for this data series, and even I don't have like labeled index. But if I execute these two commands, that means it is assigning index name using the second command index.name is assigning the name for the indexes, and then it is giving name for that specific series. Okay, now you have any small exercise. Just create a pressure for station like EOU, OUN, DEN, and you can assign any values that you like. You need to create a Panda data series. We discuss how to create a data series. You only need to create a data series. Just try to do this one, the first one, and then you can say, you can set series name and series name index name. So you know how to set series name and series index name, and then print the pressure values for all station which value have dew point below 50. So now you know all of this concept. Try to do this one. First create a data series for the pressure for this station. So you should have index. How many index you need to have? 4 index. That means 4 values should be there. So you need to create a simple variable name pressure equal, then you know the command pd dot something. Then you have to give the values, pressure values, and then the station names to create a simple data series. Try to create the simple data series like this, because you need to know about Panda. Next thing is like X-array. X-array is the advanced version of Pandas. If is there any volunteer, he can come and like execute this one. You can just copy the commands and like even paste and try to run. You don't need to type the entire thing.
The bike sticker.
You cannot get it now. You are in talent department. So it is easy. I am just asking you to create a data series for this specific index. So the index name should be TOP, OUN, DEN, and DA. And there you need to set the station name, series name, and index name. And then the last one will be like little bit like much advanced, but it is simple. In above stage, like we discuss how we can use, how we can filter the temperature values which are greater than 50. Now I am asking just print the pressure value for the station which dew point is greater than 50.
Anisem apa yang bisa? Ikaw na din. මේ සම්පූර්ණ අයින් කරලා දාන්න මේ වගේ.
Post කරලා create කරපම් බලන්න.
ये ඉදුත් ආවේ. ඉන්ස්ටෝල් කරනවද?
environment එක දාපන් ආවේ. මේකට environment එක දාපන් install කරන්න. නැත්නම් නිකන් environment එක create කරපම් මේක මේවා කරලා ඉවරලා environment එක දාපන් කොහෙද අර YM එක වගේ. This is not that much hard, no? It's easy. So how to create a series? Which command I have to use when I am creating a series? So let me open the other file which I have sent. So in this command, which command I have to use when I am creating a series? So this will be the command that I have to use to create a sample data series. So instead of temperature, what I have to use? Pressure. Though this time I am asking variable name should be pressure, and then PD series. Here you can give any values for those 4 stations, and the index will be same, I think. EOP, OUN, DAE, DAL, and DEA. Here you have to change only these 4 values. Then what will happen? It will create a series. So what I can do is I can simply copy this line and modify it accordingly. Let me copy this line and paste in here. So now instead of temperatures, I am saying pressures. Can type pressure PD series. For the pressure values, I can type 1000, and then I can type 800, and then 850, and then 1050. Here I am asking for the station TOP, OUN, then DEN and DAL. So I can like shift these two, or I can keep it like this. So this will be the solution for the first one. This one I shared in the group. If you are in the group, you should. So you can see now if I type pressures, there should be an output. So if I type pressures, then I should see the pressure values for corresponding stations. See TOP, OUN, DAL, DEN. I have the pressure value. So now in the second one I am asking set the series name and series index name. So when we are setting series name and series index name, what is the command that we have to use? I say we can give the index names and series name. So this will be the command that we have to use. So in last time in here I type temperature names. Why? I need to rename the name of that temperature variable, and then I use index.names to rename the index names for that variable. So I can copy these two lines and I can change this one. So how I can change this? Let me create a new line in here, and now I can paste this. What I am doing, pressure, then dot name equal, in here I am saying set the series name and series index name. Okay, so the series name I will give this one as pressure, and then in here for the index I can say okay, variable name is pressures dot index dot name, it should be the stations. So after I execute this one and view the variable, what should I see? Now I have the index name as stations and the name of that series as pressure. And in the last command should be a little bit tactical. So I am asking print the pressure value for all stations which have a dew point below 50. So how I can do this one? What should be the command? What should be the command? This is the little bit like tactic. Other two things like is like it should be like easy. It's not that hard. If you understand the single line. Okay, in here I say like which command we have to use. Which command I have to use it from here if I need to print the temperature values. So in here I say temperature equal temperature less than 20. So something like this we have to type if I need to filter the data station. But here I have to change. So this should be the command, no? Instead of copying the command, I can even type the command. Let me type the command. So I am asking get the pressure values. If I need to get the pressure values, which one should I type first? So it should be pressure. Let me hit tab, then it should give me all the variable names at the end of type pressures. Then if I for to filter the values, it should be typed in within the box brackets. So what should be the argument I should pass in here? So what should be the argument? It should be pressure. I am asking what? Print the pressure values for all the station which have dew point below 50. So here I created a dew point series as well. Now I am asking print the values of the pressure of each station where right now you can combine this thing together. Like if you consider these lines as together, so this will be station names. And then I have two values. Here I have pressure values and here I have dew point values. So I have two series separately, not combined. Now I am asking print all the stations and their pressure value where dew point is less than 50. So what should I type in here? The command, it should be dew points which is less than 50. So what should I get at the end? For the station corresponding, you can double check this one. So TOP, what is the value of the pressure of TOP is? TOP is, I type 1000, and then for OUN I type 800. For DAL I type 850, and then the last station is DEN, I type 1050. So now these are the pressure values, and for the corresponding dew point values, what should I see for the corresponding dew point values? If I type dew points, I can get the values and the station names. No? Let me type, if I type dew points, now I have TOP, what is the corresponding dew point? 40. And then for OUN, corresponding dew point is 18. And then DAL, corresponding dew point is 23. And then for DEN, corresponding temperature is, corresponding dew point is 9. So now I am saying dew point which is less than 50. So less than 15 we have this station and then this station. So I need to view the pressure values corresponding to those two stations. So I should get TOP, value of TOP is 1000, and then value of DEN is 1050. So this is how you can like develop these things when you are like filtering or like extracting your data for your needs. So this is a basic example, but in your case it will be different. So what? So here you don't need to create this one. Why you create DPS? This one. This part you don't need, because if you see already we created the dev points in. So dev point is already created and that variable is already there. So you don't need to keep repeat this step again. You don't need this step again. You can delete this part. Even it should work. If you type something like it should work. So last command is pressure. No? If you delete this one and execute this cell, try to execute this cell. So now you get the value. So if you type pressure at the end, it is printing the last command, not the previous command. So this one you have to be like extremely careful. If you type something like this, now I am saying pressure dew point equal less than equal 15, and I put a enter and I am saying pressure. So what should be the output? Should it give me this, the output of this one or the output of this one? So it should give me all the pressure values. See, so what is happening is like deleting the previous one, the output of previous one, and replacing it with the new output. So if you need to get something like this, you have to type these commands in separate lines or separate code blocks. If you type this one in the single code block, it will show you something like this. Okay, now the next thing is data frames. Now you know about data series. Now we are coming for data frame. Data frame is something like this. We have multiple data series combined together. That means it will be a table. So A series is like great as we discussed, but how about we can have bunch of related data series? So typically, if we are dealing with like tabular data, that thing is we can consider as a data frame. So to create a data frame, we can import this thing same like dictionary type data series, data set. So how we can create in here? If you see the like in here, still we are creating sample data. Okay, now we are creating what this data should be what in which format. If you check the check with this like bracket, this one should be a dictionary, a simple dictionary. So this one is the station, and the value of a station we are passing as a list, and then we have the second index, that means temperature, and the values we are passing as a list, and then even for the dev points we create the index name dev point, and then we are passing it as a list. So we can create this one. So now it will be a list. To convert the list into a data frame, not the list dictionary type data into a list like data frame, we can call for ed.dataframe. So what will happen? It will create a data frame. So if I shift tab this one, you can see what is the purpose of this one. You can see it is creating a data frame. Now you can see for the data frame also what we have. Last time in the data series we only have values and index. Now in here what we have? Now we have a table. In this table we have 1, 2, 3 columns. Not 3, 4 columns are there. So the first column means 0, 1, 2, 3. What does these values mean? These values, these are the indexes. And then here we have the first column, that means the value of first thing is station, and then temperature, and then dew point. So last time we only consider about one series like this. We consider about only one series, that means something like this part. Now we have multiple series because we have value and then data. For the temperature also we have a value and an index. For the dew point also we have value and index. So this is what we call a data frame. That means it is a multiple, like it's a combination of multiple data series. So now how you can access columns in data series? Now you need to know this about this. How you can access a column, a specific column in this data frame. So what's the name I given for that data frame? DF. So if I click here and view on the variable names, now DF is in data frame. So the data, this one is in dictionary. So we create dictionary type data and then we convert into a data frame. Now whenever I need to access the data frame, I should call for df. So in here I am type df, then within this box I am saying temperature. So what should I get? So if I execute, what should I get? So I should get the column or the series representing the temperature, because I have two index values in here. Here this is one index, this is another index. So if I type df temperature, it should give me the index values, like it's like accessing a series of that data frame. So now there's two ways of accessing this one. One way is you can like give the index like the series name, as we discussed when we are discussing about Panda frame, like data series. We also say if you need to access single element in here, you have to give the index name. So same way you can give the column name, that means the index name for that specific column, and you can access this one as well. Other thing is you can like df dot. If you type df dot and hit tab, it should give you all the commands that you can use with this df data frame. So under here, if I start typing df dot dew and hit tab, you should be see this option like dev point. You should be see this option dev point. So what will happen if I type def dot then tea? Even temperature is there. If I type st and type, I have the stations as well. So this is the best way. Rather than going on like something like this, you can call for def, then dot that column name. So in here, the column names are station, temperature, and dev point. So if I need to get dev points, I can type def dot dev point and hit shift tab. So there's two ways of accessing a series of a specific data frame. One way is you can like mention the column name within box bracket by giving single quotation mark, or you can type data frame dot then the value of that column. So now how you can create and assign a new column. Like right now my data frame only have, if I type df dot and not df dot, if I type df, so this is the data frame now. For this specific data frame, how I can create a new column? Just imagine in a practical scenario, you need to get a summation of these two values and store that value in another column. So for that thing, you need to create an empty column. How you can create an empty column for that? So when you are creating an empty column for that specific kind of task, or if you need to import another variable for that column, you can say, okay, data frame within box bracket, you can give your variable name, new column name. So what will happen? If I type df with a single quotation mark, I am typing w speed. It's like wind speed. You can consider it as wind speed. For the short command, I am typing w speed and then assign equal 0 point. All the values in that column will be 0. So if I execute this one, what will happen? So you see a new column is added in here. We have the index name is wind speed and we have the values. All is like change converted into zeros. But here you can see it should be in double because I say 0 point. We discuss if I type 0 point, what will happen? The data will be automatically converted into float. So now it will be converted into float and we have a new column. Now instead of this index, right now the index are in 0, 1, 2, 3, like number format. How I can replace this index into stations? So then I can access, if I type the station name, then it should give me temperature, dew point, wind speed, all of these three variables for that specific index. Now I need to call for that series like 0, like 0, 1, 2, 3. Then it will show me the value. But I need to replace these index names with the stations. So what should be the command? So if I type df.index, it is accessing the index of this data frame. And if I type df.stations, what is happening? df.station is accessing. So you can type these two separately. If I type df.index, it will print me the index values. So it should be start from 0 and end from 4 and stop like step is 1. That means 0, 1, 2, 3. That's it. And now I am saying, okay, df index, get these values equal df stations. Replace that values with these values. So if I execute this one, what's happened? Now you can see I have index because last time we say this first column is representing the indexes. So it is changed with the values of station. Now I have two columns, like not two columns. Actually here you can see two columns. The first one is like index values. Now I need to drop the second one because I don't need the station as a separate column, like as values, because I already convert that into like index names. So how we can drop a specific column? Just imagine for your calculation, you import a table or Excel data where you have wind speed and other variables. For that specific calculation, you don't need that specific column or multiple columns. How you can drop a single column from this data frame? When you are dropping a column, the command will be data frame dot drop. So there's an inbuilt function called drop. If you call for that one, it accept. You can shift tab and view the docker string of this one. So the main thing is you can say, okay, I need to remove the station column. I can give the column name within quotation mark. So the column name is station, and then I am specifying the axis as column. So I need to drop all the values in this column. So if I execute this one, what should happen? Now what happened? So you can see this station column has been deleted from our data frame. And now we ended up with something like this station top oua. If you view the docker string of this file, it is saying what drop specific labels from rows or columns. That means you can use this drop command not only for columns. You can delete an entire row as well. If you need to delete the entire row, you can use the drop command. Even you can use this one to drop an entire column as well. So where you have to change? If it is a row, where you have to change? Here it should be the index or the station. In this case, if I need to drop this OUN row, what should be the command? df.drop, what should be the command? OUN, then axis should be row, because if you go in here, it is saying axis 0, 1. If I go into the in-depth details, it is saying axis. If I give 0, it will be index, 1 for columns, and default is series. Other one is like rows. So if I type rows, it will drop that specific row. So that's the way how you can like delete your data from a specific table. Now next thing is how we can add data in order to provide index values. So here I am saying, okay, now we have temperature, dew point, wind speed. Now how I can add another column with the values. Last time we say another like one method. How we can add? We can say that data frame name df data frame name equals then empty value. So if I need to give each and every specific station a value, how I can do it? So now I am going to assign values as well. So how I can create something like this? So this will be the command. I can say df pressure, because I say no matter what, when you create a new data frame or access a new data like all data frame, what should be the command? Df, we discussed two types. Df, then within box bracket, you need to put single quotation mark, your new column name, if you are creating a new column, and then it is equal, because I say data frame is a combination of series, data series. So now we are creating a new series to combine into this data frame. So that's why I say PD series. Then in Panda series, I mentioned when you are creating an empty thing, what should be the command? First should be your values, and then comma separated, then the index. So what will happen in here? So 1010, I am creating the pressure value for that specific station. So DE8. So what should happen? Right now in the table I have station name, TOP, OUN, and then DEN, and then I have DAL, and then I have temperature, then dew, and then at the end I have wind speed, and then I am going to add pressure. I will omit this one for this case. So if I type pressure in here, I am saying okay, for DEN pressure value should be 1010. So what will happen? It will access this index and give the value as 1010. And now for the next one, I am saying okay, index TOP. So it will access index TOP. Should be the first one. So value should be 1000. Then for the DAL, value should be 998. So for the DEN, it will give 998, and then OUN, it will give 1080. So what's the main point? When you are creating this one, you don't need to give the specific order. So did I give this one in specific order? Because in my data frame, the station order is TOP, OUN, DEL, DAL. But in here I say DEN, TOP, DAL, OUN. So that's the main purpose. That's why we have index. If we have index in our data frame, no matter what, we can type the specific index name and assign the value. So it will automatically put the values into the corresponding index. Even if we shuffle this one, if I shuffle this one, what will happen? If I put TOP at the very beginning and DEN at the second place, what will happen? I am not changing the values. For the TOP, it will assign 1010. If I change this one, then DEN, it will assign 1000. So if I execute this one, what should happen? At the end, you will get a new column named pressure, and all the values has been assigned according to the way that we declare. So now last time we discussed, okay, we call for entire column. Now how we can access a row, specific row in the data frame instead of a column. So how we can go with this one? So how we can go with this? So for that thing, when you are going with data frame, we have a specific thing called LOC, lock. So that means def.lock, and then you can give the data, the column, the index name of that specific column. So I am saying def.lock, then den. So what is happening? So now it is accessing this den column and printing me all the values responding to temperature, dew point, wind speed, and pressure. So you can see temperature value is 25, dew point value is 9, wind speed is still 0, pressure value is 1010. So the command is LOC whenever you need to access. So there's another way. Did you heard about transpose? When you are working with Excel, if you create a table, you need to get the transpose. What will happen? It will convert columns into rows and rows into columns. So if I need to transpose like my data frame, in any case, if I need to do a transpose, what should be the command? My data frame name dot t. So if I hit this one, what should happen? Rows will be columns and columns will be rows. So now what happened? So see, last time the stations was like this. Let me type this one the top so we can see df. So in here data frame is in this specific order. So stations is a single column, temperature is another column, dew point another column, wind speed, pressure another column. Now if I type df dot, what happened? So it is changing columns into rows, rows into columns. So now the station column has been converted into a row. Now, so if I use dft, how I can access that top value? I can type directly dft dot top. What will be the output? Because we say now it is like converted into the columns was converted into the rows. So no matter what, when we access columns, we say df then the column name dot column name. But if we need to access a specific row, we have to type this one. Look, so this is the main point you have to like keep in your mind when you are accessing a data frame. You need to remember whenever you need to access a specific column, the command will be your data frame name, the variable name of your data frame dot that column name. But if you need to like access a specific row, what should be the command? Data frame name dot loc, then within box bracket you need to give your column index value. Then it will print all the corresponding values. Yeah, LOC for row, and df dot directly if you call, if you delete this one and like type within box bracket, you can access column without LOC. So now if I type df values, what should it print? So now it is showing me only the values, nothing like no column index or no row index. It is only showing purely me only the values. So if you need to get specific column values, you can type, we say, if I say df temperature, what should this access? Now if I hit like run this command, what will happen? It should give me the data series. Now if I type dot values, what should happen? Now it should print me only the values for that corresponding column. So now you have a simple exercise. Add a series of rain observation into the existing data frame. That means the DF. For this data frame, you need to add a new column. For this data frame, you need to add a new column. The column name will be rain observation. So you can type precipitation. So you need to create a new column, name precipitation, and you need to give some values. And then you need to do an instrument correction for the dev points. That means when you are collecting these dev points, your instrument had an issue. Now you need to correct that thing. So they will say like, okay, when we are correcting this dev point, we had an issue in that specific instrument. So to correct this one, you have to subtract 2 from each like individual value. So try to do the first one. The first one will be getting the like adding a new series of rain observations. How you can add? What should be the command? You can type. You can give any values. There's no restriction. You can give any values. You just need to create a new column, name precipitation, or you can give any value like rain observation or anything, and then it should have some values. So what's the command for creating a new column? Without any values, what's the command to create a new empty column? Maybe we discuss this one when we are creating wind speed. If you need to create an empty column, what should be the command? Your data frame name dot within box bracket, you need to put single quotation mark, and then you need to give the name. Okay, now you create the variable name, then equal. Now you need to create a series or data frame. Series. So how we create the data series? We need to call for Panda library. That means PD dot in Panda library we have something called data series. So we need to call for data series, and then how we can create the data series? Within bracket, within two brackets, we need to pass it. How we are passing? There are two ways. You can give the list, that means the values, comma separated value, and then give a comma, and you can type index equal, then you need to put index within these two box bracket, like 2 comma separated, then this one should be your one station name, this one should be the second station name, then comma third station name, and then you need to close the box bracket, and finally you need to close the entire data series. And the other way is you can create this one separately as a dictionary type data. So if you are creating this one as a dictionary type data, you can say like, okay, give your like dictionary type data name equal. Then when creating the dictionary, it should be curly brackets. So first one will be your station name, then two dots, values, then comma, your station name, dot value, then comma. Likewise, you have to give 4 values and then close this one, and directly after you say PD data series, you can here you can call this specific name directly in here. So it's up to you. You can go either one of this method or that method. So any volunteer, he can come and demonstrate this one. So what should be the command in here? My data frame name is df dot. I am saying new variable. So here I will say precipitation. So now I am creating an empty data series, because when we discuss about wind speed, I say this is the way that you can create an empty column. If you after that you have to give equal and then you have to give your values. So how to give the values? Precipitation equal, then I can say so what should be the command in here? So what should be the command? There are three ways. Actually, there are three ways. What will happen if I type something like this within box bracket? If I say okay, the first precipitation value is 0.0 and the second one will be like 4.0, and the third value will be 0.2 and the fourth value will be 0.6, something like this. What will happen if I type something like this and type df? It is created, but the problem is what? In here I didn't mention the station names. So if I do something like that, what will happen? It will automatically assign these values in the way that I have. For the first station, it will give the first value, and for the last station, it will assign the last value. This is the short format. So if I need to like specifically say, okay, go for these values, how I can use? Now I have, since I have a precipitation table, I can drop this one. What's the command to drop this precipitation column? Because if I need to go with the other thing, I have to drop now. How I can drop this column? What should be the command to drop? So df dot drop, and then what should be the command? I say, if you forget, you can type this one. It is saying your index label and then axis. I am going to drop the column, so I can say axis name is precipitation. I can copy this one, otherwise I can type. Then I need to put comma. If you view the document string, it is saying then the axis. You have to specify the axis name. So if I am going with the column, I have to specify axis. So because we discussed about this one earlier, whenever you need to drop a single column, this is the command df drop station name then axis columns, because now I am going to drop the precipitation column. So I can say axis equal columns. So drop axis equal. So now I have to reassign this one into the data frame. So what will happen? It will delete the temporary precipitation column and give. Now if I say the df, now the precipitation values have been gone. So how I create in the second way? If I need to assign, I can, how, what should be the second way of creating this one? What should be the second way? That's what I say. For a single problem, there will be like several solutions. The second way should be pd dot series, and then I can assign using the box bracket and then give the values. I can say like 1.0, then comma 2.0, then comma 5.0, then comma 0.0. Now after that, then I have to put a comma and then index equal. Then I have to pass the index, because where we discuss about this one. If you forget the command, you can shift tab. It is giving you an example. Index equal. You can go into the example section. So from here it is saying index. If you have index like this, then you have to type index within box bracket. You have to give your index names. So I can type, I don't need two box brackets. I can delete this one and give two box brackets. Here I have to give the index names. So for the first value, if I am going to assign the first value for DAL, it should be DA, and then comma for the second station name or UL, and then for the third station name I give this one for UN, and then the EN, and then finally TOP. So if I execute this one, what happened? Now it is assigned the values according to the order that I say, because I say first value should be assigned for the DAL. So it assigned 1.0 for the DAL, and I say okay for OUN, go forth with the second value 2.0. And there's another way, another method. The last method should be what? You can create the series beforehand and then call for, no, not the series. You can first create a dictionary type data and then call for that dictionary type data inside this series. So there will be three methods. So the next thing I am asking, okay, there's an instrument issue when you are calculating the dev point. To correct your dev points, you need to subtract all the values in here by 2. Then you will get the actual dev point value. So how I can do that calculation? For the second exercise, how I can do that calculation? So how I can do this second calculation? I am saying for instruments correction. So how I can access the dev points? df dot dev point. Okay, now I have access, and like I am going to reassign this dev point value. So how I can do the correction? df dot dev point. So if I type this one, what should be the value? Now I am accessing all the dev points. So if I need to do the correction, what should I do in now? -2. What will happen? So it will subtract, like from this all the values, it will subtract 2 and reassign that specific values back into the data frame. So if I execute this one, now the change is being affected. So if I type df, if I do this one again, I run this one time. Now if I do this again, it will subtract like 4 times. So you have to be specified when you are executing this one. If I type df, now you will see the dev point. From the dev points, so we should be the command. No, this one. So now if you see the dev points, you see 14, 18, 9. So this is the actual data frame that we had. And then I do this calculation. I say dev point -2. And from here you see it has subtracted 2 from each dev point values. So now since I hope now you know about these data frames, now we can go into the next part, loading data into the pandas. Now we are going to load actual data set. Since till now what we have created, we create some temporary data and we execute it. Now we are going to load data into directory. Now whenever you need to call, first thing is import pandas, and then inside panda you have a command name, function name read CSV. So why we are using read CSV? You can check the doc history. So why we are using read CSV? pd.read CSV. What's the name of the function? If you say read a comma separate value CSV file into data frame. Also support optional indexes, features, file and chunks. So if you go in here, you can see. No, NetCDF we will discuss. Right now we are discussing about tabular data. NetCDF is like multi-dimensional. We will say, let's say, first you need to import the NetCDF. We can use like HDF. We can like there's another separate library to read the NetCDF files, and in there we have option to call for this one as a library. So you don't need to do the conversion by yourself. So we will call about this one. Right now we are just discussing about tabular type data. So how we can export CSV file or TXT file. In here I am going to import the TXT file that I have given you. So the command should be pd. Inside panda data frame we have pandas, we have read CSV function, we are calling for that function. So whenever we are calling for that function, it is saying we need to give the file path. First one should be file path, and then we can type SEP for the separator. So if you open that file that I have sent in the group, you can see what you can see. If you open that file, which I have sent into the group, if you open that file, what you will see is something like this. You will see something like this. So here you will see something like this, no? So here the separation is, if you select this one, is a tab. So within every single individual column, it was separated using a tab. So the delimiter is tab. In this case, the delimiter is tab. It's not comma separated or anything. It's tab separated. So you need to understand about this one as well. So now I am saying, okay, load this file, because my file is also in here in the same directory. So I don't need to specify the entire path. I can say, okay, just go through the file in here. Just imagine if this file, if I create a new folder and put this file inside that folder, how I can access that file? Then I need to say like, okay, inside the current directory, there's a folder, go inside that folder, then you will find that file. Since my file and both script are in the same location, I can say, okay, load this file, and the separator is tab. So if it is a tab delimiter, then you can say /t. So if it is comma separated or something, how you can check for this one? You can go into the guide. So if you go into the guide, from here you can search for that function in the documentation. If you go into the documentation, you can search for that specific function. What is the function that we are using? Read CSV. So I can copy the function name and search for that specific function. So it is saying pandas.read CSV. So if I go here, it is saying you can like get a more clear idea about this structure and the separators that you can use. So here it is saying if there's no any separation, you can assign none. Otherwise, you can give, if it is like character or something separated by specific character, you can specify that character using /s. Just imagine your columns are separated by plus mark or comma mark. You can use /s and then your separator value. If it is a comma, you can say /s comma. Since this is tab, we will use tab separator. And then what will happen? So now the data is already loaded. If I go into this debugging panel and view for that data, the DF, you can see a data frame is created. Over there I have columns and some other things in here. So the data frame is loaded. So how I can view the head, that means the first few lines of that file. So to view the first few line of that file, you can type df.head. If you type df.head, you will see the first few lines of that file. Now you see the station is in a separate column, the index values are there, and then time is there, but it is imported as valid, and then tmpc and dew point, and then this one will be like temperature, dew point, and then mean sea level pressure. So the guys who knows this one, they know what does this means, these short forms mean. So here the empty values was represented by m. So I need to do few modifications. So I need to rename these empty values which were represented by m to none, because if I replace these values by nuns, then Panda will identify these values as non values. So it will omit whenever I do a calculation, it will omit. Then I need to, the first thing is I need to convert this one into a type data, because here if you see the document, actual value of this one, so here you can see it's just printing this one as a string, it's not reading this one as type. So now we need to read this column, that means the valid column, as type, not as like a string type data or anything. So how we can do that thing? So whenever you are calling for this one, if you check the docstring of this function, it is saying data type, and then we have lot of variables in here. It is saying date tracer. So if you assign date tracer, what will happen? Date tracer or date format. If you give date tracer or date format, you can read this function. It should mention over there. It will convert that value, specific column value, into data type. The array will, like, the value will be date and type. So to do that thing, we can call okay, load this file, same command, read csv, read this file, then separated using tab, and then we are assigning the new parameter, because in here we have new multiple parameters. Here we are using only separator and then the file path, but we can go with multiple other parameters. So the new parameter will be press date. So when we press date, it will process that specific column into date type, like date and time type data. So it will recognize that column as date and type. So whenever you need to do, like if it is like data is in daily, you can convert that thing into monthly, because Panda identified that thing as date and type. If it is string type, it doesn't recognize this one as date and type. So if you try to call for that specific function, it will give you an error. So now we need to convert this one into a valid date and time. So we will say okay, press date, then the column name. Within the box bracket, we have to specify the column name as valid. Now if I execute this one and read the headers, so you can see now I have this one with the executive, like exact time format, because in here I have 2001 January 1st, and then the time, hours, minutes and seconds. Last time I only had hours and minutes. So now it is like recognize this one as time. So whenever I need to do a calculation, it will recognize first column as time. Now the next thing, I need to replace these m values. So in this, when they collect this data, they said okay, m values in this column represents the non values or null values. So now I need to say to the pandas, okay, whenever you say m in a specific column, that represent a non value or a null value. So there's no any value. So how I can say it to when I am importing, I need to say that. So if I need to do that thing, there's another parameter that I can pass for it CSV. So that parameter will be NA values. So I am saying okay, the same function read CSV, read this text file, separator is tabbed, then press date. So consider this column as date column, and then replace the non values with like m. The actual value will be m. So if I execute this one, what will happen if I read df head now? So you can see all the m's in this data frame was replaced into na. Now Panda recognize these values as non-values, that means null values. There's no values for this one. So now if how I can view the columns in that data frame? Now if I need to get the column names of this data frame, there's another function df.columns. This is an inbuilt function. If you type df.columns, it will give you all the column names. So how many columns I have? Station, valid, valid, time, and then tmpc and dwpc, mslp. So here you will see all the column names. Now if I need to say, okay, rename these columns. Now I know these are the column names. So I need to rename these column names, because here time was represented by something called value. I need to replace this one into time. So how I can do that thing? Either I can call for that specific column and replace the index, or I can replace the entire thing. I can type df columns equal station, time, temperature, dew point, and then pressure, because here tmpc is like temperature, but that's the short code, and then dwpc, dew points, and then mean sea level pressure. So I can replace that one with pressure. To do something like that, I can say df columns equal these names. If I type df head, it should give me first few rows. Now you will see these values, the column, like the names of the columns have been changed into the new values. For the first stage, first one will be station, then time, temperature, dew point, and then pressure. So now the next thing I need to, when you do a calculation or something, just imagine you need to skip all the rows which consider non-value. If you need to do some kind of calculation, they will say for the calculation you need to have pressure value, temperature value, and dew point value for your specific calculation. But if you go with this kind of data, you cannot do any calculation because all the fields are none. Now you need to filter these missing values. How you can delete these all the rows which have like temperature, dew point, and pressure values are missing, because you need to drop all the values. You don't need those values for your calculation. So how you can drop those missing data? So if I type len df, we discuss about this one when we are discussing Panda, not Panda, the Python basic syntax. What does it give it? The length of this specific array. So how many rows it will be there? I can see how many rows should it be there. Now you can say, at the first time I say, when we are creating simple data, like at the beginning we create the data, no? We create only like 1 or 4 rows. But right now when we are reading data, we will end up with something like this. In here we have how many columns? 169,000 columns are there, rows are there. So now if we drop, we discuss about this command, drop na. We discuss about drop, not drop na. Drop na is drop non-values. Drop command is used to drop the entire column or entire row. If we use drop na, we can say, okay, drop all the non-values where in rows. That means not in columns. Don't focus on columns, focus on each row where we have non-values. How? Here I am specifying. If you view the docstring file, they say you need to give like axis name, then how, any, all, there's 2. If you type any, that means if I type any, what will happen? In here I am saying, okay, just say, okay, how the method is all, and then I am saying subset. So if you see temperature, dew point, and pressure, these are the columns that you need to focus on when you are reading each row. And if you see any of these value is like missing, then drop that column. Like all the values are missing, then drop that column. So what will happen? To drop this one, all the values should be missing. So if I say, okay, you don't need to consider, if one of this value is missing, just drop the entire column. What should be the command? So this one should be replaced with any. If I type any, it will delete. If he, like when he is like reading, this command is going to read rows one by one. When reading the rows, it will have like 3 columns. No, I am saying focus on these specific columns. So if right now the command is, if you see all the values as NA, like this kind of column, just delete this column. If I say okay for the pressure and this one, they have like values. For the pressure, they have some specific value, 1000, 10, or then for the temperature it has like 15 or something. But for the last value, it doesn't have any value. So if I need to drop this kind of column, I need to change this one into any. Right now I am saying drop all the columns if all the values are null. So if I execute this column, if execute this code block and view the df length, you can see now it has been reduced to 72,000. That means how many columns that we had? We have like multiple columns where the data is missing. Now if you go back into our txt file, if you open the txt file, you will see first 3 rows all values are null. There are like multiple values. You cannot do this one manually, no. That's why we are using this kind of data frame, because in here you can see all the characters. So we have multiple rows. If you go here, there's like lot of rows like this. We have all the values is empty. So now it has removed all of these values. If I type df head, you will see now it is showing these values, because I mentioned all. If all the values are none, just drop it. I didn't say like any. If I say any, it should like omit these rows as well. Since I say all, it say okay, these 2 columns has values, so I am not going to drop it. If all the values are empty, I will drop, otherwise I will not drop. So now the exercise is this one. In our data frame, we have data which have dropped any entries that were missing all the temperature and dew point and pressure observations. Let's modify this command and create new data frame name df2, and then you can only create observations that have all of these 3 variables. Like all the values should be there. If it is like, if the pressure is none, it should like delete that row as well. So temperature, dew point, pressure, these all the 3 values should have values. So how we can do this one? And it should be like df2, not df. It should reassign into df, because here I reassign this one into df. Now you need to create df2 and assign that variable into df2, because we will use df for upcoming code blocks as well. So what should be the command? You can start by using df2 equal. What should be the command in here? You can give the command. What should be the command? So what should be the command? So I can say okay, df dot drop na, and then I need to give the value within the box bracket. What should be the command? Axis equal rows, how is equal any, and subset equal this one. If I say, I can copy this entire thing. Let me copy the entire command, and then here I have to make this one into any. Then if I need to view the data set, I have to type df2. So now you will see, you will get all the values. We have values for temperature, dew point, and pressure. So if I type df len dot df2, now you will see I only have 7,000 data which have values for all these columns. So this is the way that you can filter. But there's one issue. If you see this one, you will see the index. If you see the index is not changed, because here it is starting from 1042. It is not in order 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Not that, is not in that order. So how we can reset this index? So So how we can reset that index is you can use df.reset index drop true. If you execute this command, what will happen? Right now, you let me print the df. If I print df, what you will see in the data frame, for the first value, it should be is like 3, 4, then 5, 6 is not there, 7, then 8, 9 is not there, 10. So you will see something like this. Now how we can reset the index? To reset the index, you can say df reset index. That means it is an inbuilt function. So what's the purpose of that function? Reset the index or level of it. Reset the index of the data frame and use the default one instead if the data frame has multi-index. So if we mention this one, what will happen? It will reset all the index values. And if I read df now, you can see the index values has been reassigned. Now it is starting from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then even if I print df head, you can see it's like this. And then you need to manipulate data, because here I didn't assign this one back to df. So you see, if I type df equal df dataset, then you will see this one is resetted. But here if I type df head, this is to show you the difference. So last time I show you the values are like this. If you need to convert it in this format, you need to execute this command df reset index. Then it will reset all the index values and reassign that variable into df. Last time I didn't reassign, I just say reset index. So if I execute something like this, it is not going to reset the value of that data variable. It is just showing you as an output. This will be like temporary. And then manipulating the data. We say whenever you need to print something, you have to type print command. So how you can get the minimum value of something? Let's imagine you need to access the minimum value of temperature. So how you can get the minimum value of that temperature column? Now you need to check for the minimum values of the temperatures and the maximum value. How you can check? So I say, okay, to access the column, I need to type df. When I discuss the data frames, I say data frame dot, then the column name. I have a column name temperature. So now I am saying I need to get the minimum value. How I can access? If I hit tab, these are all the functions that I can use. There are some inbuilt function where you can use like min for the minimum. So if I type min, it is a function. So what should it give me? It will read the entire column and find the minimum value of that specific column, and it should give me the output. So the minimum value of temperature will be minus 78.72. And if we need to get the maximum value, what should be the command? The same thing. At the end, we have to type max. So it's also an inbuilt command. If we hit shift tab, it is saying return the maximum values over requested axis. So that means we can go through column or rows. So if we specify the axis as column like rows, it will go through the rows and give us the like solution. If we didn't specify any axis, by default it will consider columns. So it should give us maximum values. So if we need to print this one, we can use this command f min, then data frame minimum. So it will print the value in this specific format. This is like text formatting. If you type /n, it will start from a new line. Just print the value of a minimum and then print that value, create a new line, max, then print that value. And then correlation. I told you about correlation. Now we need to correlate. So if we need to correlate whether there's a correlation between the temperature and dew point, is it positive or negative? We need to check. When the temperature is increasing, dew point is decreasing or not. We have to check whether when the temperature is decreasing, whether dew point is increasing or not. So to do a simple correlation, the function will be CORR. That's the function you have to use for simple correlation. First, when you are doing a correlation, first one will be you need to give the column that you are going to correlate with, and then call for CORR correlation, and then within bracket you need to give the other variable, the column of the other variable. So you will see that structure. So here what we are saying, DF temperature. So this one is we are accessing the temperature column, and here we are accessing dew point column, and then we are saying correlate temperature with dew point and print us the correlation value, whether it is positive or negative. What will happen? So it will take some time, and it says 0.1, because you know correlation value is relying between what? Correlation. Correlation value is between -1 to +1, no matter what. If the values are fall in between 0 and 1, we call this one as positive correlation. If it is equals to 1, what will happen? That means it has a strong correlation, strong positive correlation. If it is closer to 0, it has a weaker correlation, but the correlationship is positive. So if we see -1 to 0, that means what? It has negative correlation. That means if we plot all of this data in a graph, if we plot all of these data in a graph, we create a graph, we will say like, okay, this axis is temperature, and then this axis is dew point. So the correlation, this value is positive. So the chart should look like what? When the temperature is increasing, because this side temperature will increase, this side dew point will increase. So since the correlation is positive, that means when temperature is increasing, dew points are also increasing. But if we get a negative value, what will happen? When temperatures are increasing, dew points will decrease. So that's the main thing how you can do a simple correlation. And the other function is like groupby. You have a function called groupby. If you call this one df.groupby, then your variable name, and you are calling for mean. So if I say something like this, what will happen? It is grouping variables according to the stations. Then I am calling get the mean. So now what it is doing, so if you see the file, in here we have stations, no? Actually in here we have 4 stations, like multiple data. Now I need to get, okay, just group these all the lines. That means there will be like LMO station. So if I focus on LMO, this one should be keep repeated among several rows. So I need to get, okay, group LMO values together and calculate the mean value of temperature, mean value of dew point, and mean value of pressure, and give me the mean value for this specific station, and the next station will be FNN. So group this one according to the station name and calculate the mean value of temperature, dew point, and pressure. So if I execute this one, you will get what? If I execute this df group by station name mean. Now I am executing this one, what you will see. So here in that list I only have these stations OCO and then 1V6 FNL LMO. I have 4 stations. So the data is repeated, but I only had 4 stations. Out of that, this is the statistic. So the minimum temperature, the mean temperature of this, all the observation on that list was -1.9, and then dew point was around -7, and then pressure. That means pressure I got none. That means what? For this specific station, all the pressure values were null or none, not available. That's why at the end I get none. So 1V6 I get this output, the mean temperature, mean dew point, and the mean pressure. So this is another way you can get the statistic if you have some data like this. So now you have a simple exercise. Now you need to calculate the mean, max, and standard deviation of the temperature filled by like group by stations. So you need to calculate the minimum value of each station like this for the temperature and dew point and pressure. Where should I like rename this one? Now I am asking calculate the minimum value. Then first I need to group by stations. That means get all the record related to LMO and group it separately. Then group all the records related to FNL, like all the records, and then this one will be like all the records for LMO. And then the next station FNL, LMO. If I have this station, focus on this station and get all the records related to this station. And in the pressure column or any column, focus all the columns and check for the minimum temperature value, minimum pressure value, minimum dew point value. Because when you are creating a research, like in your research, if you need to say, okay, the data that you focused, you will type, okay, the minimum value, the values vary. Minimum value is from here to here, maximum value is from here to here, variance is this, standard deviation is this. Because in your research paper, you will like plot a graph like this. If you focus on like your temperature data or any precipitation data, if you get, you will create a table and put it in your research paper, because you will say, okay, this is the data that I have used and this is how it varies. To create some kind of graph, you need to get this kind of a statistic. So how you can calculate minimum for all the values if you need to calculate? So what should be the command for the minimum? So what should be the command? You can try to type and execute this one. For minimum, maximum, and then the standard deviation. For the standard deviation, what should be the short command? You can guess what should be the, for the minimum we discuss. It should be MIA. And then for the maximum, it should be MAX. For the standard deviation, what should be the short command? It should be like STD. So at the end, you have to type this one. If you type DF group by station, then this should be the command. If I copy this command and type in here for the minimum, what should be the value? This one should be mean. So now it should give me the minimum values for each station. So for the OC1, the minimum value is, the temperature minimum value is -26. And then for this station, minimum value is this one. For the dew point, considering that specific station, is like -2. Last time as same. For the pressure, for that specific station, that means we didn't have any instrument to record pressure. That's why the pressure was empty. And even for the second station, pressure was empty. So how to get the maximum? Same thing. Max, shift enter. So now in this output, you will see the maximum value representing all of these stations and dew points. And then for the standard deviation, what should be the short command? You can type std. To confirm, you can shift tab. If you shift tab, it should give you all the commands. No, so if I type std, so the function is there. If I execute, now it is giving the standard deviation of these values. Of the temperature, the standard deviation is 7 point something, dew point is 7.91. So now you can get the output from these tables and create your own table in the Excel. So next one, there's a single command. If you need to get an output like this, you don't need to type this one separately. So you don't need to calculate minimum value separately, maximum value separately, standard deviation separately. In Panda, there's a single line command that will be df group by, then dot describe. If you type this one, it will describe your entire data set. So if you execute now, it should give me a statistic, the overall picture of your entire data set. So here you will see the station and the count. That means for that station, how many rows we had. So for that specific station, we have 25,000 data records, and for this specific station, we have 11,000 data records, and for this specific station, we have 11,000, and for this one, we have 24,000. And then mean time. So you don't need to focus on this one. We don't need that. But when it is describing, it will give us the mean time and something like this. So only thing we need to focus on the rest of the data. So here it is giving time, pressure and everything, but in the output you cannot see because of the resolution. But if your screen resolution is higher, you can view the entire data set. So here it is giving me for the temperature, count is same, the mean value is this one and the maximum value is this one. Likewise for the dew points also is giving. For the pressure you can see the mean value is none, minimum value is none. Likewise for all the variables it will give you, it will describe your entire data set. If you familiar with SPSS also we have inbuilt function like this. If you click on that function, it will give you the entire output like this. So now I am saying group by this specific station head. What will happen if I execute the output like this? So if I say df group by station and then I am saying get group, that means focus only on this specific station and print the head. That means I am going to check all the values for that specific station, all the record, and then it will reset the index. So now these are the values for that specific station. I am saying like just read the head. So that's why it's giving me first 5 lines. If you type any command like the dot head, it will only print you the first few lines, 5 lines. Otherwise, if you delete this one, what will happen? It will print all the rows. See, it is printing all the rows. If you only need to view first few lines, you have to type dot head. If you delete that part, it will give you all the rows. In the statistic is mentioned for OC, or we have 25,044 records. So in here you can see we have the same exact number of records because Python is zero base. We have all the records. So now in this temperature, you see temperature we have what we call floating point. Now I need to round up this one into a specific integer value. So how you can do your exercise is like you need to round up this entire column and group by observation by the temperature and use the count method to see how many instances of rounded temperature there are in the data set. So if we need to do something like this, how we can go? How we can do it? If we need to do something like this, the first one is round the temperature column into whole degrees. So you know in here if we see check on the temperature values are in float points or double. So now we need to get this one into a single value and count the number of temperature records. So the first one is how to round. So how I can access all the temperature records? You can type the command what should be the record. Like if I need to access all the temperature value, what should be the command? Since this is a data frame, I say we have two methods on accessing a specific column. What are those two methods? So one will be df, then dot, then the column name. The other one will be df, then specific within this bracket I can call for the name. So I will use the second method because I say that will be the most easiest way. df temperature. Now I am going to reassign these all the temperature like the temperature column in my data frame. It should equals to df dot temperature, and there's a command, inbuilt command. If you need to round this one, there's an inbuilt command called dot rond. There's an inbuilt command. If you need to round something into a specific number, it will do the calculation automatically. So you can put temperature, then round these all the values. See, there's an inbuilt function. So you can call for this inbuilt function. It will round up all the temperature values and print me. So if I type this one, now it should be rounded up. If I view the data frame by using df, now you can see temperature values have been rounded up. We don't have any decimal numbers after. We only have 0, 0, 0. Now Next one is I am asking group observation by temperature. How to group the observations by temperature? So last time we grouped by this command we used to group by stations. Now I am asking group by temperature. So now if I need to group this one by temperature, what should be the command? Then this one should be dot group by, and it's a function. If I hit shift tab, it is giving me the function name, axis, and what kind of things it will accept. So group by, then what should I specify in here? The column that I am going to group by. So the column is temperature. So you need to either the best option is to copy these things when you are typing. Otherwise, if you put a spelling mistake or something, it will give you an error. Okay, now it is grouping by temperature. Now what I said, I need to get the count. So what's the short command to get the count? You can use dot count. There's an inbuilt function. If you need to count a specific thing, it will count. So it will group values according to the temperature and it will count number of records. So if I execute this one, it should be count. So now it is counting. That means minus 29 degrees. If a specific station have minus 9.0 degrees, it only have in one. It only represent in one station. For 28 degrees, all the 4 stations have these values. 4 values, and 27 we have 5 records, and 26 we have 15 records. 35 we have 133. From here we can check, okay, these all the stations are having the same temperature or not. So these kind of things, for these kind of things you can use NumPy. These are like some basic examples that we discussed. So the main thing that you need to keep in your mind is what today actually we discuss about data series. How to create a data series. dp.series, and then creating the data series, there's like 2 methods. Either you can create it using like dictionary type data, or you can directly specify. And when you are specify, you need to give the index name as well. And we discuss on how to rename the index values, like index label, like index column, and then how to give your series a name. And then we discuss about data frames. In data frames, what we discuss, data frame is simply a number of the combination of multiple data series. You can consider data frame as like a combination of multiple data series. When you are accessing data frame, we discuss how to access data frames, like entire column of a data frame and entire row, how to access that thing. You need to keep in your mind. And then we discuss about loading data. Here we like load txt file. But if you read the documentation, you can see even you can read the entire Excel sheets as well. If you use read CSV, you can read the entire Excel file. You have Excel file .xlx, you can read that file as well. So here we use an example to read a txt file. And then we discuss about how to deal with the missing values. Because when you are reading, you need to give the separator. If it is comma separated, it should be /s then comma. If you specify, okay, if you are specify when you are creating the CSV file, you will say whether it is tab delimited, comma delimited, or any other thing. You can like give any other format. If it is plus, if all the columns, just imagine the first column name is like column name 1, then you separated it with plus mark, and then column name 2, then you separated the one with plus mark, then the column name 3 you separated with plus mark, and for the values you will say first value then plus, and then you separate that one using like 2 plus mark. Let me put 2 plus marks, and then you will put the second value of the second column and for the third value. So if you use something like this to separate each column when you are creating your text file, what should be the delimiter? You can say /s plus plus. So when this like Pandas going to read this file, it identifies this one as a separate column. So it will read accordingly. In this case, we use tab. So that's why we use T. Typically, we are using tab delimiter, and then we said, okay, when you need to say, okay, if your value have like variable have time field, you need to call this one as time data. So you need to specify that time column, and then next one is you need to specify if you have like null values. When you are reading, you need to specify, okay, my NA values are represented by M. In this case, like, okay, in another case, you will see like when you are reading the txt file, you saw all the non values were represented by like minus 0.99 or something, or like it will say like 999. So what should be the command over here to replace that minus 99 thing with none? So you have to say NA values equal this value, then it will read these values as none value. So you have to check on your data. If they mention this one as NA, then what should be the command? You have to say, okay, if you see NA, it should be a null value. That's how you can like deal with missing values when you are reading. And the other thing we discuss about how to access this data frame using column command. So if you type df columns, it will print you only the column names. It will not print the entire data set. It will give you the column names. And we discuss how to rename these columns. Because if the like when you are reading the file, it will read the default column for name. But when you are dealing with this one, it will be much better if you rename this column into short format. Just imagine if that column is too long, you have to type the entire thing to access that column. But if you replace that column with a short command that you are familiar with, in your code you can use that thing. So you can replace the column and use it according to your need. And then we discuss about like dropping, how to drop the values, how to drop a column or how to drop a row. So the command is drop. If you like, if you are focusing on dropping the entire column or entire row, the command is drop. We discussed it like earlier. And if we need to drop non values, the command is drop NA. We discussed two drop commands. One is drop, other one is drop NA. What's the difference with drop and drop NA? Drop we are using if we need to delete entire column or multiple columns, or entire row or multiple rows. But drop NA we are using if all the values are null. When we are dealing with non values, we can use drop NA. That's the two difference. And then we discuss about group by. So when you need to describe your entire data set, what should be the command? When you are describing, the single command will be this one. If you need to describe your entire data set, you can call for like first you can group it by a specific field. In this case, we group it by station wise and describe the entire data set. That means it will show us number of like the number of data for that specific station, and then minimum value 50 percentile, 75 percentile, 20 percentile the value, and the standard deviation of that specific values. And then we discuss about some other things. So this is the basic introduction regarding the pandas. We have like lot of libraries, but this is the same like simple way on like reading the data. In here you need to remember how to drop, how to get the statistic values, like describe the statistic, or how to get the minimum value, maximum value, or and how to do simple calculations. So that's it for the pandas. Tomorrow we can discuss about matplotlib. So now you know how to load the data. Since now you know how to load the data, we can go ahead and discuss with matplotlib. So we can create simple line charts, and we can create scatter plots, because now you know how to get the value of a like entire column. So how to access the entire column? If the data frame is df, then dot that column name. So when we are accessing, like when we are printing this one in a chart, typically what should we need to plot? Tomorrow we will discuss for x-axis we need to have values. for x, and for y-axis we need to have values. So now you know this one will be one single column and this one will be one single column. Then you can plot. So if it is like date was temperature, what should be the column? In this case, df, date column is time. I can call df time. Then if I call for df time, what will happen? It will print all the time values in the x-axis. And then for y-axis, if I need to put the temperature values, what should be the value? df dot temperature. I can call for something like this. Then we have to put the plot command, because in matplotlib we have plotting functionality. When we are plotting, we need to say like plot x, then comma y. That's the simple command. Then we can like assign titles, and then we can like give the grid marks, minor grids and major grid marks, and then we can label x-axis, y-axis. There are some few things that we need to discuss for that thing. After that, we will discuss X array, because we need to discuss about X array when we are reading XCDF file. And then we can read like go with cartopy, because cartopy is the library where we are using when we are plotting what we call the spatial maps. So tomorrow we will discuss about matplotlib. If we have time, we will go with X array as well.